What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday. Just going to hop on here real quick. It's game day. Got some cooks coming up. I had a great episode yesterday of Smoke Notes, episode 1. This is episode 2, so welcome. Hopefully, on the weekends, get a little bit more time. Hop on Instagram and chat with the barbecue fam. Mary Snell, hello. So, this week I got more questions than usual about where the beef I cook comes from, or where the meat I cook comes from. And there's an interesting story behind it, so I just thought I'd share today. And maybe in some upcoming series we'll have more on that. But probably, I don't know, I guess from the time I was growing up, I had an interest in where my food came from. Um, Lately there's been kind of a twist on that with going to the grocery store and seeing empty shelves, and I think there's a lot of concern about um, supply chain, and am I going to go to the store and see empty shelves because of all the panic buying that's going on due to the pandemic? And so I guess about a year and a half ago, when this all started out, I started looking a little bit more deeply into what my local options were, and making sure I had some good local options for meat sources and production. I think a lot of us have gotten tired of going to the store and seeing prices going up, and then looking on social media and hearing from others that farmers aren't necessarily benefiting from that. It's kind of the middlemen who are involved in the meat packing industry in the U.S. So, yeah, there are a couple of reasons I started looking more into direct to consumer products, and supporting some of the ranchers here in my local area. And as I started to branch out a little bit from the supermarket, I'd always had access to our family farm, and beef there, custom beef, goes through, a local butcher. From time to time, I'd wander into a local butcher shop or meat shop and see what was available. But I really started getting more interested in supporting the farmers and the ranchers right around me. And that's kind of what has led over the last year into seeking them out, trying their products, and ordering from them. And I found that it's not all common sense. It's not all intuitive and straightforward. Well, how do I do that? How do I find a farmer near me or a rancher near me to partner with? Is the quality the same? Is the taste and the flavor the same? Um, and I guess I discovered a lot of people don't really even know how to go about it. So I'm just on here today, happy to answer any questions. But as we get rolling, thanks everybody for popping in. I'm happy to share a couple of details and some tips and tricks I found for figuring this out, this whole situation out. So I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen with meat production in supermarkets, but for my family, anyways, I decided hey, it'd be good to stock up. So if you watch the channel, I'm a big fan of brisket, ribs, pork butt, pork shoulder, chuck roast. Probably this past year, I've eaten more chuck roast than I eaten in my almost 40 years before that. And there were a lot of cuts of beef that I wasn't all that excited about. But it was pretty recent. I was talking to my mom, and she said, she's got these extra steers available. So I spoke for them in the spring, and I'd actually had a whole cow last year. It's an older cow, got made in hamburger. So I've had about 400, been sitting on a stockpile of about 400 pounds of hamburger and eating my way through it. But so this was my first kind of full rodeo going through the cut sheet with the butcher, and asking what I wanted, and a lot of different trade-offs. If you get this cut, you can't have that cut because it's coming from the same place, and so it was pretty eye-opening to go through that with a whole beef. But some of these direct-to-consumer brands, I'd encourage you to support right here on Instagram. It's a great place to find local and buy local. And you think when you're supporting these folks, you're not just supporting the local economy, you're supporting a family business in a lot of aspects. So What's up, Big Hobbs? So, I think there's a couple different ways to go about it. You can find somebody on Instagram, can find somebody on social media. You can look in the yellow pages. You can ask friends and family. But even if if you live out in farm country, it's pretty easy to look for those signs. Local beef. I'd just encourage you to strike up a conversation. If they've got a retail shop, go in, check it out. A lot of farmers markets now are wrapping up for the season, but you can still find some out and about. A lot of these direct to consumer ranches now, previously, if they've been in business, they've been selling maybe to some of the big packing houses. And so they're going to have a high quality product. They know what they're doing, they know how to raise and finish beef. And in particular, whether it's beef, pork, chicken, you can find a lot of those right around you. So I just encourage you to see what's out there, strike up a conversation. I think a lot of folks get scared away because it's frozen and they don't have freezer space. I know that kind of sounds silly, but a lot of people go to the grocery store every week or every other week and pick out what they want, cook it that same week. And so sitting on, a stockpile of frozen meat maybe isn't their cup of tea. But just from the value you get out of it, the value you get for the family, or the value you get, supporting one of these local ranches or local farm families, I think there's a lot there to it. And since I've started down that road, I've actually enjoyed it, getting to know these ranchers and farmers a little bit more, and getting to know about their business, and getting to see everything they put into it. A lot of these folks, my folks, are in the farming and ranching industry. They don't get a lot of fancy vacations. That's kind of the MO, is you have to stay on the ranch, stay on the farm 7 days a week. It's pretty hard work. And so as part of that, though, I think you can find some of these folks on Instagram. A couple I was just going to throw out today, encourage you to go check out if they're near you or if you're in their shipping region. Probably the first one that I ever got beef from was Felton, Susie Felton in Miles City, Montana. Great outfit. Excellent beef. If you're in Montana or in that shipping region, some of the neighboring states, or even if you're not, get on there. I think she's got a club that you can buy into, a subscription. But really high quality stuff. It's some of the earliest beef I ever had shipped to me, and it was excellent. And it's actually a lot of those early questions I had about, hey, how should I defrost this? Or, the typical thing is somebody just wants a box of steaks. What's that cost? I think from the rancher and farmer perspective, they'd like to sell you a box that maybe has 10 pounds of hamburger, a couple of roasts, and a couple of steaks. The cows, when they get butchered, steers, they get butchered, they don't all just come out in steaks. So that's kind of an interesting way to go about it, is to check out some of these VIP clubs or different ranch clubs you can join. It's kind of like a wine club. If you've ever been in one of those, they send you a box and you get some variety in there. Second one that I got introduced to was Van Lith Ranch down in Boise, Meridian, Idaho area. And I encourage you to check them out. Obviously got one of their hats here. A lot of the boxes behind me I hang on to now as I'm sharing beef with friends and family. It's pretty handy, but they come in basically a box with some insulation and some dry ice, depending on how long they got to ship to you. Van Lith probably had the biggest box that I've gotten so far. It probably hold 60, 80, 100 pounds of beef in there. So I would encourage you, a lot of people are sensitive to price or how much I'm going to spend on this, and maybe they want to make an initial purchase, small purchase, just to see what it's going to be, and then later they think, oh, okay, well, that was good, maybe I'll try more, or maybe next time I'll get an eighth of a beef or a quarter of a beef, something like that. So I'd encourage you to see what the options are, and if you just want to try something out, make your initial purchase and then go from there. I think the value, though, to me, I found it in the quantity. So I stepped up now and got a whole steer this year, custom cut, but through a USDA inspected facility in Washington State here, over on the west side, and couldn't be happier with it. I know where the beef was raised. It actually came off our family farm. Got to see it in production a few times. Got to talk to my mom about its rations and how she was finishing it out. And so that was kind of a unique situation. Last year I had an opportunity to hop on one, which maybe, like I said, basically just a hamburger cow. but it was pretty attractive to have 400 pounds of beef in my freezers, and no, I didn't have to worry about the shelves at the store being empty. So that's why I went that route. The third one that I should mention, I had linked in my bio for quite some time. Another great farm family, ranching family, are the Dirteens, and they've got Post 5 cattle out of Ephrata, Washington. Another great opportunity to get in, see what they're doing. They've got a couple of different bundles you can get. A lot of it's cougar themed. I think Will Dirteen, the head guy, and his wife Nicole, I think he was a cougar football player, and so they've got a really cool network there. But I encourage you to check them out, Post 5 Cattle Company, if you're anywhere in the Northwest or in the Western U.S. So give them a look. I know there's a couple others here I haven't ordered from yet, but I'm hoping to try as soon as I start getting some of my inventory and my freezers down. People ask, well, how much is a whole beef? I've got 2 7 cubic foot freezers full to the gills. I've got the stand-up freezer, 2 stand-up freezers. So I got 3 of those 7 cubic feet one. 2 of them are packed just with the last steer I got. So, there's some conversion tables you can find online that say about how much space you're going to need for how much beef. But if, it's a simple math equation. The next thing is pickup. So once you've got it ordered, if they're not shipping to you and you got to go to the butcher and pick it up, it's good to have some, some bigger coolers. I had 3 of the largest Igloo coolers I could find. I borrowed from some friends and family, and just went over to the west side, picked it up. It was pretty cool looking through it all. It's all frozen, flash frozen, and so didn't really need any ice to get it across the state. But if you're buying it in the box, I think a lot of those boxes will hold for at least 2-3 days. So if you're in those shipping channels, that's not a bad way to go either. But like I said, just hopping on today to talk about local beef and what you can do to stock up. I know that's been a big topic. I've been getting questions from folks on here, just curious how it works, curious where, if I'm just buying it at the supermarket. How long is this beef going to last? I think I'm going to have almost a year's supply here. So we got 4 in my family, 2 kids, me and my wife. Obviously, 2 or 3 meals a day here. Not eating beef for every one of them, but I bet we probably eat a dozen pounds of beef a week, sometimes 20 pounds. That's probably way more than the average consumer. But we do a lot of meal prepping, and so it's pretty handy to have, just be able to go right to the freezer. So my Costco or my Walmart or my local grocery store, it used to be one of my favorite things, just go over to the meat aisle, and I'll still go through and see what's on special, but holy smokes, I went to the grocery store this week and saw that they had rib roast or rib steaks for $16.99 a pound, and that's $5 off reduced. I thought that was pretty crazy. This beef I bought off the rail for about $3 a pound, plus shipping or plus cutting and wrapping, which was about another $1.50, $1.75 a pound, I think. Comes cryovac, so if you've ever bought from a butcher custom beef before, it comes in kind of a it's got an initial plastic wrap, and then it's got butcher paper, piece of tape says not for resale. All the beef I get USDA is just commodity. It's got commercial application, meaning I could take it, turn around, sell it to a friend or family member, and not have to worry about it. But yeah, that's basically what I got. Maybe next episode I'll open up my freezers here. This isn't to brag. I mean, it was quite an investment, but if you're going to the grocery store every week, picking up groceries, what things cost, and so it is an initial upfront investment. You do have to worry a little bit about power outages, and as soon as we get into colder weather here, I won't be worrying about that at all. But I'd encourage you, like I said, just again, check out your local ranchers, check out your local farmers. Big believer in buying local. I know up in November there's kind of a small business Saturday coming up, but this is a good time to scan and see what's out there and get something else on your radar that you haven't checked out yet before. So I encourage you to do that. Happy to answer any questions about my experience buying local beef. using local beef, cooking it in my recipes. I think going back to something my mom said, I was asking her, I said, yeah, I was telling her about this Mississippi pot roast I was cooking. It was out of that USDA steer that I just got picked up. And she said, oh, yeah, I don't like chuck roast. I just have it all made in a hamburger. And I said, why is that? She said, oh, it's too chewy or it's kind of tough. I said, well, that's what barbecue is all about, low and slow, getting those cuts, that maybe didn't have as much value before, just get ground into hamburger. And so now she's going to take a chuck roast and try it out. So I think that'll be interesting for her. That's kind of funny. I've been questioning people's assumptions lately about what's a good cut, what's not a good cut, or what people like. And I think a lot of it, people just kind of get stuck in what they know and what they like and don't ever try to branch out. So can be the same thing too, but if there's any hurdle, like I said, to shopping local or buying local, I think, most farmers or ranchers would be happy to answer your questions. A lot of them are really good at raising cattle and are good at, some of the marketing sides, but those two things aren't always the same. I've had great customer service, though, from all the brands and small businesses I've worked with, right up to the point, of replacing something if it wasn't perfect, or giving me a discount to share with friends and family, as kind of a referral to send people there. So who knows what you might be able to work out with people, but a lot of times, they like to see that people are using their product. It's proof for their other customers that people are buying their stuff and are using it. So next couple of days here, or anytime really, if you have questions about where to find local beef or how to use it or how it's stored or how much space you're going to need or what all these different kind of pricing situations are. I think that's another big difference between going to the grocery store or the supermarket. So, you see a package of beef and it's got a price stamp right on it and you know what you're paying. That's similar when you're buying local or custom beef. Everybody does it just a little bit different, but it's not uncommon to see one price, where you're actually just paying for the beef and then you have to have it processed, and so it's called cut and wrap on top of that. And some people will just tell you what something costs down the road, but in almost every circumstance, because you're getting, a quarter of a beef or half a beef or a full beef, you're going to get a major cost savings from buying in the grocery store. Now, that might be a little different if you're buying something really high premium, something like a Wagyu or even some cuts that are prime. I think one last thing about that, a lot of the beef I've dealt with, it's not graded, but I would say it's choice plus. So, grading and inspected are two different things. The grade it's got a little mark that comes on the package and says USDA inspected. Costs the rancher or farmer a little bit more depending on where they're having it processed to have it graded. The grade would be, select, choice, prime that most people are seeing. So maybe on some future episodes we'll dive into some more of what that stuff means, just as trying to discern as a customer or consumer. Want to see if there are any questions here, so just look up real quick before we wrap. Yes, happy Sunday. Someone says Jesus is with you as well. Big Hobbs was on. What's up, my man? Now, talking about cooking a whole steer, if you haven't checked out Big Hobbs _BBQ, you got to go check him out. I think he custom makes barbecues. I know he's made a few for people up here in the Northwest. It's amazing, mouth-watering content that he cranks out, and really gifted and talented in the barbecue space. So, anyhow, I think that's all it for today. I'll save this on my channel under Smoke Notes, episode 2. Just also close by letting you know, go to my blog, rendezvousbbq.com/blog. It's where I post a lot of my recipes. Increasingly, I'll be keeping track of this vlog series, Smoke Notes, on there. All my tips and tricks and recipe notes will go under Smoke Notes. That's a little journal that I have available on Amazon, a little notebook. So I encourage you to check it out at $6.99. It's got, ships pretty quick. You buy a bundle of them. They're 50 pages. Keep track of your recipes and smoke sessions. So that's it for today. Rendezvous out. You guys all have a great Sunday. Enjoy game day.